Hi everyone, in this video we are going to go ahead and make box plots in Excel. So here I'm starting with the first data we looked at in class, just our Portland weather data from January 1st, 2007 all the way through sometime in September 2019. So we go to the tab where I split out the February weather. I've calculated the summary statistics. Here's our 5-number summary. I added the IQR just by doing the formula equals, I did Q3 minus Q1 right here, and then I did 1.5 IQR just equals 1.5 times, clicking on the IQR number there. And I did that for PRCP, Tmax, and Tmin. And this is our 1.5 IQR rule to identify outliers is what we use on a box plot. And so I calculated the lower limit is just this Q1 minus the 1.5 IQR, and I did Q3 plus the 1.5 IQR to get these numbers. So I did that for all three of these variables. Let's see how those show up in the box plot. If I click on this column for PRCP and I go to Insert, and I click on this one that looks like a histogram, and I drop it down, I can get the box and whisker plot. When I hover over it, it's like, yeah, that's what I want it to look like. So I'll add that. I'll make it bigger so we can see the spread, and then I will make this look like February PRCP, just like that. So the box plot shows up. We see all of these numbers reflected. Our min is 0, and our Q1 is 0. So the box, if you see here, starts right at 0. There really is no lower whisker showing because the lower whisker just goes down to 0. The median is 0.3, which barely shows up here. The average, the mean, shows up in the box plot as this X. And of course, the mean is higher because the median is the 50th percentile. But all these high numbers pull the median up from the median. Q3 is only 0.15, so right here. And then the outliers, anything over 0.375, which is right around here, gets its own dot. And you can see there's quite a few of those. Not that many, considering we have like 400 or so data points here, but it's still quite a few dots. And it really shows you, like, here's, the box in this case is actually 75% of the data since there's no lower whisker. These are still sort of the upper end of normal according to this outlier rule. And then all the dots beyond that are considered outliers. And this, of course, is the maximum at 2.19. So we can do the same thing for Tmax. And in fact, if you don't need both plots, just have this one up, click on it, and then just click and drag over here like this. Everything will automatically resize, change your title, just like so. Now this is showing a lot more dots than expected. I don't know why. But the same numbers show up. The median is 50, so it shows up right on the grid line. The minimum is 23, and you can see there are a few dots lower than the outlier level. The outlier level was 32.5 for the maximum temperature. But you can see there's about 4 dots that were colder than that. There were no high outliers because the max was 64, but the threshold was 68.5. So it just goes up to the maximum here. Another thing we can do with box plots is look at comparison box plots. So if you go to precipitation by year, if we select all of our data and then go Insert, click on this again, go to box plot. Now if we hover over it, we can see, wait, that doesn't look right. What's Excel doing? Well, these numbers, the years, 2007, 2008, 2009, it's actually trying to put dots for each of those. It thinks those are part of our data, which is why we get this line of numbers up here. It's trying to put the year on there. That's not right. We don't want that, so let's delete it. Now we'll select everything except for the labels. And we don't want the days. We don't want a box plot for the day, just the actual precipitation numbers. Now it will work correctly. And let's make that quite a bit bigger as well. And we can put on a title, February PRCP by year. Now we can add a legend to tell us what years they are, but the thing is it comes up like Series 1, Series 2, Series 3. It doesn't know what we're talking about. And it tries to put this other weird label down here for the axis label, which is a 1. I usually just delete that because that doesn't mean anything. If you wanted to actually make it label 2007, 2008, 2009 instead, you can right-click, select data, and then you see the labels are coming over here on the left. So you could click like Series 1, Edit, and then the name, what's the name of it? Oh, it's 2007. Click OK. Series 2, click Edit. The series name, we actually want 2008, so click on that, OK. And you could do that for all of these. If there's 2 or 3, it's not really that difficult, but when there's a lot of them, it does get a bit tedious. There are ways around that. If we'd stored all these in Excel as text in the first place instead of numbers, it would know what we were talking about, but unfortunately years are numbers, so that causes other issues. So we can look at these comparison box plots. Now most of these were zeros, except this one is a little bit above 0. It does have a little bit of a lower whisker. So that year had more days that were rainy, but the days that were there weren't very rainy in general. This was a very dry year. This was a very wet year. You can see it had our 2 of our wettest days in the record as well. So it really gives you an idea of how much rain there was on which days. The higher the box is spread, the more rainy days there were. You can also do this if we go in our February temps by year. I already made this one, and I went ahead and did the tedious work of making all the axis labels here. So you can see your temperature maximums are really, somewhere around a little over 50, upper 40s, something like that. Except, of course, for this year, which was 2015, it was a very warm year. Most of the maximums only got down to 50, except this is identified as an outlier, 44. But it's really only an outlier in the sense of this particular year. In any other year, a maximum temperature of 44 would either be inside the box, so in the middle 50% of days, or pretty close to that lower whisker. So it's a little colder, but not really unusual. And this really shows you 2014 had quite a spread. One day, the maximum was 58, but it had our 3 coldest days on record with a low of 23, a maximum of 23. I kind of remember that year. It was icy, I think. Anyway, so in the next video, we'll use the same data, but we'll look at the exact same thing in histogram form.